Alright, Anthony, got your mics here, the adapter with it. I'll probably put that in with the radio where the factory mic and all that is, but got some batteries, 2 new batteries I put in the mics for you. I put these different screws in. These are what hold the back plate on. They're shorter. It's something that they just did this year for the newer production. So this one has the newer production circuit board. This one has the older production circuit board. They both have long screws, which really aren't too good for either one. So the screws are physically longer here. So I take those out and put the shorter ones in. Just that way you don't have any issues where the circuit board could come in the screw, when you screw it down fully tightened, it won't ever come in contact with the circuit board. So the longer screw has the potential of that happening, then you lose modulation and stuff. So this is the better way. Going forward, the short screw will always be used, is what my understanding is. So I won't have to do that going forward once I get new stock next year. I'm hoping that at least I'm pretty confident anyways from what conversations I've had with them that the short screw is the new way. So anyhow, the 452, they don't have new stock coming yet. I think they still have stock on this one. It's a good mic if you like echo, and if you're using it like on a radio that doesn't supply you with your own echo or something on board, then this is a good alternative. But this one is easier to use in the sense because you control the level of volume here. This one, the level of volume's inside, and on the outside you have an echo level, and then you have an echo time also inside. So I'll kind of set this one kind of where I think it sounds okay. You can play with it later. Usually the volume is kind of like facing that way, and then the echo time is kind of facing that way. So they're both kind of like one's going this way, one's going that way kind of thing. So I'll show that really quick. So the specification is basically the same on both. So that's your frequency range, 300 hertz to 6 kilohertz, so pretty wide range. It's not going to give you that real low bass sound, but most people don't want that. I mean, that gets you kind of muddy sounding anyways, so I'd rather have a more higher emphasis on my voice. Some guys might have a higher pitched voice, and they may need the more bassy sound, but most guys that I know have more of a deeper voice, and these mics tend to work well with pretty much any radio I've ever used it on. So either one. So we're going to do the echo one first though. That's the difference right there. I've shown this before on the screw size, so it's definitely a considerable difference. So the big one goes in the trash. The new one will go in the mic. Here's the mic right here. This is basically just flipping it over. So you got your PTT switch. When you flip it over, this is your modulation adjustment, and then that's your echo time, the one on the left side. So what I do, I think the modulation is pretty much where I would set it already. Pretty darn close anyways, but what I do is move that other one that says 203 to the right. So let me do that. Okay, something like that is kind of how I set it. Remember, this is the gain of the modulation. This is the times of the echo. You don't have to run echo. If you leave this in absolute minimum, there's no echo. So you have to crack it open or something to give yourself a little echo sound. So if you don't want the echo, just put it to the minimum and then it's gone. So let's put the battery in and then check it out really quick. So I think running the outside dial about right there, I'll give you kind of a close look at it. So if you were to kind of line up the edge of this slider with the E, not so much the middle, but the edge of it, maybe with the E there on echo, it gives you just a little bit of, something. The problem is with echo, some people like it, some people hate it. And the guys that hate it, no matter how you have it set, most likely they're going to tell you to shut it off because they just don't want to hear it. Whether you sound good to other people or not, to them, you're never going to appease them because they hate echo. So there's people that you just never be able to, at a certain point you just say, I don't care what you say. I mean, I hate to sound like that, but you know, for the guys that don't like it, any kind of effect or anything on the audio, that's what you're going to run into. So I would say on amateur radio, probably it's not worthwhile to ever use it, but you honestly could. Sometimes it really does enhance the audio some, but you have to do it the right way. And this isn't going to be a very good representation of this because of the squeal effect that we'll get here, and you may not even hear it on the video, but I'm going to try to give you something there. I don't know if that's going to pick it up or not. I'm hoping that it does, but it's a real light hint of like an echo, like an effect. It's not really an echo, it's not really a reverb, it's kind of like right in between. And I think it sounds halfway decent, you know. Of course, the volume on this thing is set really low, so I'm hoping that you hear the sound coming out of the tester here, not so much me. I turn it down just a little bit more. If I turn it down just a little bit more, I think it really starts to go away. And then here's with it off completely. So with it off completely, you probably don't hear anything but just me. If you turn it to 50%, that's when it gets like really crazy. So probably don't want that. You can play with the adjustments inside if you choose. But again, I think it sounds pretty good, like right there. It's a real light hint of something, but it's something, you know. It doesn't have to take a lot. So it's one of those things where people can be real picky about that. Test 1 2. There it was right there. So I had to change it just a little bit. That's what I like about like that. So to get that again, line that up about there. The microphone gain, like I said, is kind of preset inside. You probably don't need to adjust it. You don't want to eat the mic and get right up on it, but you don't want to talk like an arm's length away either. So nice, comfortable. You know, it's hard for me to say, but you'll get the feel for it. And then the other one, you'll have the slider gain on the front. That one will say volume level, and I would recommend keeping the center here at that V mark for, like, it still has the same slider, just the little center indicator at the V on volume. And I'll show you that one here in a minute. So here's your other mic. That's about where I recommend running it on pretty much any radio. You don't really have to turn it up anymore. This one's got the battery in it. It's still the 6-pin, so it's pretty much standard, you know, for any of the 6-pin radios that you might have. Of course, the QT80 is what you bought, so I'll work with that tomorrow in the morning and get that ready to send off for you. But both of these mics are plug and play, and when I get to the radio, I'll tell you what you need to do to use the mics on them. But just put it in dynamic type for the mic setting on the radio, and you'll be all set. So you can use these also on any President radio that's 6-pin, Bearcat 980, stuff like that. So the old Magnum 257s, I mean, we're going kind of back on those, but a couple other ones, Magnum radios, they worked on those too. That's actually what this plug is called, is the Magnum wiring. So a lot of European radios use this wire pin out too. Alright, there's your two mics anyway, so we'll get these ready to go with the radio tomorrow. 73.